Castbender Podcast is proudly partnered with Avatar, The Legend of Korra Online.com and ComicRelated.com. Hello everybody and welcome to Castbender, your number one Last Airbender and Korra related podcast. We talk about Avatar and Korra and all that awesome stuff. If you don't know, you're here with your co-hosts AJ Lewis.
Hi there.
Teagan Chevrier.
Hi.
And Tyrell Lisson. You know, I was going to try to think of some creative word to put before your name, like
we were
the
working on it yesterday, yeah. The awesome AJ Lewis.
The asshat AJ Lewis.
Careful. We're PG here now.
Yes.
If you didn't get the memo here,
I'm bleeping it.
The tasteful Tyrell.
We can no longer swear on this podcast.
No, we're not swearing on the podcast any longer. That is the new rule.
If you want to check it out, go to youtube.com/AJLewis321 and I'll swear all you want.
No.
We're here with the titillating Teagan Chevrier.
Okay.
It's funny because it says tit in it.
Yeah, and
which is not a swear word.
The tasteful Tyrell.
The tasteful.
I can't really say one for myself
Tasty
because
the
taste
that
might be a little bit risque.
Oh dear.
So
Castbender After Dark.
It's funny because it's witty banter at the start of a podcast.
Witty banter. So if you didn't hear at the beginning of the intro, we are associated or partnered or whatever you call it with Kevel and his website Avatar, The Legend of Korra Online.com. We did an interview with him last week, episode 58. We talked about his website and, you know, how he started it and just a little bit about Korra. Just to clear some things up before we start the show, the interview last week was about Kevel and his website, and we asked him some Korra-related questions, not to get really that far in depth discussing all the technicalities and intricate details of it, but more so just voice his quick opinions. So those who are
new to the podcast and may not understand that we do in fact love this show. We are just sometimes overly critical.
Yeah, we got comments saying that why are we even doing a show, because obviously we don't like it, and I think people fail to realize we've logged over 100 hours and countless dollars into making Castbender each week. So if we didn't do that, we wouldn't really be here. You know,
we are in fact paying you guys
to listen to our show.
Listen to this podcast.
And it's okay to have a different opinion, and it's okay to back up your opinion if with evidence. We didn't always before. And some people were literally taking the words out of our mouths and putting them as our direct fact. And that's another problem, because there are slip-ups and errors. And another thing is sometimes we argue about stuff for the sake of arguing about it on a different perspective, because if every host on the show agreed, then it might not be a great show for you guys. So I challenge you to disagree with us, but don't think that necessarily because one of us says something that we necessarily truly believe it. And AJ's chomping at the bit here.
Many of you attacked us in a way. Attacked is probably harsh, but they attacked me for saying that I didn't believe Korra had very much character development. In fact, I said I wish she had an inch of character development.
Well, actually, some people actually quoted your direct work there.
I'm very happy that you took that time to do that. It has been a long-running joke through right back through to episode 1 that we believe that there is underdevelopment in all of the characters. Mm-hmm. In the series, and we do it in a joking manner because we're like, yeah, that's what we're dealing with. It's a good show, but it's underdeveloped, and that's not to say that it won't become more developed.
And we'll talk about
that. Korra is not developed at all. But please take everything we say with a grain of salt if you haven't filled it in, and it's partially our fault because we should expect new viewers occasionally, so we should go back and explain some jokes here and there.
No, but that's the point. The point is to wrap it all up, that by listening to one 38-minute interview where we just kind of had fun rather than actually going through and critically analyzing these things, that episode necessarily wasn't the key point for our thing. It was great because Kevin was on it, but that's not the thing. So everybody that's new and listening to the podcast, we're happy to have you here. We're interested to see your opinions. We're interested and happily able to disagree with you because that's what makes it great. And that's pretty much it. So have fun listening to this week's podcast, and we'll try to make sure we're
little less harsh and more thorough on our opinions.
Yeah, for sure. So if you didn't already check out that episode, go and check that out. It's a fun one. Also, we have a lot of vlog content. Teagan, you just put up a montage. Tell us a little bit about that.
Over the winter break, my little brother, for Christmas, he got a GoPro camera. So those are the ones that are like waterproof and like smash proof, whatever. And he let me use it to record footage of us going tubing. Tyrell was there, and then a bunch of my friends. And I recorded it in a fun little montage.
She's lying. She doesn't have friends.
Shut up. And it's a grand old time.
And
Check it out.
We had some other vlog footage that we put up as well.
Yeah.
And AJ put up his post-Castmender show. AJ, explain a little bit about what you talked about there.
I just did a rundown of what happened on the podcast, and
You talked
I
about
talked about how Korra and Asami could very well become friends or the worst of enemies in the next season.
Interesting. So go check out that content, youtube.com/castbenderpodcast, and that's all there. As well, for those of you who don't know that we're now partnered with Avatar: The Legend of Korra Online.com. If you go to our website, we have some new tabs. We have one to the blog, which takes you right to his website, Kevil's website, and we have one to the forums where you can make an account and join and talk there. We also have castbender.avatar the Legend of Korra Online.com, and all of our content's up there. And if you go to that website, there's a podcast tab as well that takes you directly to that portion of the website. So that's all that's new in that regard. Now for Korra related news. Nothing too spectacular this week, but we're just going to note it in case you haven't seen it. AJ, what do you want?
You go first. I'll explain my news later.
Okay, thanks for interrupting. New book 3 image of Bolin screaming underwater was released.
In his underwear.
Oh, in his
underwater.
His
That'd
underwear
be
released.
interesting.
Yeah.
Underwater, that would be a lot more interesting. So we got a lot of images. We had the Bolin image, we had the Lin image. Now we're back to the Bolin image, and it seems like this image is actually from the exact same scene the first one was probably in, because everything kind of seems to make sense in terms of the geographic area of which he's in. And you see Mako in the background. You see Bolin just like, he's angry, and it's not in his physical underwear. It's more like a tank top thing.
An undershirt.
An undershirt.
It looks like they just got out of bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Brian released this on his Tumblr.
Again, if you're not following him on Tumblr, it's a good idea. You get little sneak peeks and stuff.
Yeah. So go check that out if you want to see it. We'll have it in our sources below. And that is that. If you want to see that, AJ, you have a piece of news.
Recently, on the weekend, the new comic, The Rift, released its first 10 pages online for you to check out. And it's good. It's got Toph in it, Toph's back. It's all pretty good, so you can check it out. I'll talk about it on the Post-Castmender show and provide a link.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, pretty good. And the whole comic comes out on Amazon on March 5th.
This one person, Kyle Edgecombe, says, "Screw their underwear. I want to see Korra in hers." I thought that was an interesting comment. And then,
Great.
Well, go to Tumblr.
yeah,
Yeah.
Kevin's like, Google is your friend. But yeah, so that's the little piece of news for this week. Now we're going to run down a couple things for you this week, topic related, and then we're going to have a little bit of a new format, so I'll run it down for you. We're going to talk about Korra and her development, just to clear the air and some general angst towards that topic. Then we're going to be talking about Kevil's article about the lack of filler episodes, making The Legend of Korra a better series or not, and things like that. And then lastly, we're going to talk about the community involvement.
People bang around our area.
Yeah, we're going to talk about community involvement. So essentially, we're going to go look on the websites and all that stuff where we pull a lot of our community from. Quick fire round where we talk about certain things people have said and agree, disagree, and like one statement why, and then we'll wrap up the show.
This portion will be replacing Deal or No Deal.
No, Deal or No Deal is part of it.
Oh my goodness.
Instead of yes or no, it'll be Deal or No Deal, and then you explain, AJ. Come on, you're a rookie. Got to get with it.
I'm
You're a
sorry.
rookie, AJ.
You'll never.
Get with it.
I'll try better next time.
You'll never get rid of Deal or No Deal, folks. If you haven't watched, it's a great show. Actually, don't.
Oh
watch it.
It's
my
actually
goodness.
horrible.
Yeah, don't watch.
Howie Mandel is an idol of mine.
Okay, you need to calm down.
We
Howie
share.
Mandel is probably the greatest Canadian of all
Stop.
time.
No.
We share the OCD thing with our
I
hands.
enjoy his bald head and his fist pounds
Yeah, his fist pounds are great. Yeah.
because he's scared to shake people's hands.
Yes, he is. He's gotten a lot better though. He used to have to use this intricate way to get the doorknob open and all this crazy
Oh,
stuff.
poor
Anyway.
guy.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Howie Mandel podcast.
This is going to be renamed. So, Korra. Last week, after AJ's controversial comment about Korra having 1 inch of character development,
Well, we all were.
no, but
Nope,
it was
just you.
it was specifically that one quote.
I'll just leave now.
Yeah, you're the most hated, so everybody knows that.
It doesn't matter. I'm the villain of the show, which makes no sense.
So we're going to explain that a little bit. So, the forums went into a flurry, rightfully so, I guess, that they don't
dear.
agree.
I'm so sorry.
There seems to be a couple problems here. There's those who absolutely love Korra and don't think she can do anything wrong.
Wrong.
There's a group of people, including the hashtag Korra bashers, who hate Korra and everything about her
Hashtag
sucks.
Korra bashing. Hashtag Castbender. Hashtag yep.
And then there's those people that are kind of in the middle and side with some arguments on one side, some on the other side. So, we're going to talk about Korra a little bit, specifically her development, or lack thereof, from Season 1 to Season 2. We're going to break down some specific events and compare and contrast to other characters to kind of put everything into a comprehensive...
A cohesive argument.
A cohesive
that
argument.
could be graded at university level and receive a high grade.
Yeah. So... AJ, do you want to run down a little bit of what Korra's character was like during Season 1 in an unbiased, just straight up, if you were to explain it to somebody who wanted to watch the show?
So, Korra is introduced as this brash character with a hot head that we see right off the bat when she's fighting the 2 firebenders. It is explained through the 2 or 3 masters of the White Lotus that she lacks discipline and lacks a spiritual side. And that's generally Korra's main conflict anyway, through her whole progression as a character. See what I did there? She has progression as a character. See? I'm
Okay. Continue on.
We see that she has been sheltered her whole life and just wants to escape. And when she does run away from the organization that's been keeping her safe in a way, she goes to Republic City and starts a war.
Yeah.
With her brashness, and she shelters this with she wants to finish learning airbending from Tenzin, but then she shrugs off learning airbending with Tenzin to go and fight in
The Equalist.
the pro-bending first,
Oh yeah, the pro-bending, correct.
which is just explains further her brashness. And through this, you would think that as she grows the ability as a fighter, she'd become more disciplined, which would happen with a normal character, but it doesn't really happen with Korra. She then gets defeated in the finals and is defeated by Mon all on the same day, and then she becomes this crushed character. And you think at that point, she's going to develop, she's going to become stronger through this. And she doesn't really develop that much. She's still extraordinarily hot-headed, and
that's the end of the first season.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, some valid arguments from people based off of that argument there is Korra didn't necessarily walk into making a war. The fragility of Republic City was already in place, and her being there was just the final, the final point before the explosion. So Korra obviously could have handled the war in a more diplomatic way, but what happened. She did decide to do the pro-bending, which a lot of people think is a significant subplot. We've talked about in the past, too much stuff was going on too quickly in Season 1, and that is because, a good excuse for that is because it was originally a miniseries, so they wanted to get a lot of new stuff in.
A lot of things are forgiven in the first series because it was intended to be a one-off series.
Okay. So you have Korra, the stubborn, hot-headed avatar, very different than Aang in the first series, that struggles with their problems, and usually when a character hits their all-time low in terms of her getting defeated in the finals and stuff.
I'm glad you brought up the lowest point, because we see Aang at the last bit of the season, and when you hit your lowest point, you're open to the greatest change. Mm-hmm. Korra doesn't change.
Right.
She, as we bridge the gap to the second season, we see that she is not only abusive of her avatar state powers, but she's still this hot-headed, brash character.
Stop there. Teagan, I want you to explain Season 2. So then we have kind of like the comparison between 1 and 2. Then we can break down the positives and the negatives of Korra's character development in each. So can you just quickly explain what happens in Season 2 for Korra?
Okay, well, Korra is offered sort of a different path to go with Unalaq. That's how you say it, yeah. And which everyone's sort of advising her against. But like in Season 1, she kind of doesn't want to follow the rules. She doesn't like being told what to do. So she continues to sort of go against what they're saying. Yeah.
Okay, and then she later fights the Dark Avatar.
Yes, yeah.
But explain her whole journey through the spirit world.
Well, it's not really explained. Like, she didn't really do it herself by, like, finding her spirituality. She kind of just sort of fell into it, which was good, because then she can save stuff.
She was aided by Jinora, too.
Yeah, but at the same time, it wasn't like she spent the time to work on
Okay, we're trying to keep it unbiased.
Sorry, okay.
And then when she gets in the spirit world, she's a little kid for a portion of it, and which is important because it really displays some vulnerability, something to do with Korra's character when it's shown as her being in the spirit world as a child for a bit. She then is dealt with the whole, discussion with Iroh and that whole thing, and then she comes back and then she fights the Dark Avatar before going into this super spirit mode after having Rava ripped out of her. And then she defeats the Dark Avatar in less than 10 minutes. And then that's the end of the season with her essentially saying that spirits and humans will live together. So you have these two comparisons. I would argue that both of them are fairly similar in terms of what Korra does in going about different things, but you have a little bit of differences. So what we're going to do now is AJ is going to argue why Korra's character didn't develop as everybody said they would, and then Teagan will explain what Korra did positive-wise, and same with me. And then I'll kind of chime in on both, and then we'll get this. So AJ, without going off the rails, because I know some people like to go off the rails with this. It's easy. People will have to understand it's easy to be Korra is just the best character ever, and it's easy to say Korra is the worst character ever. What we're trying to do here is really just think and dig into some things that Korra's character development just didn't really get accomplished. So AJ, you can start.
Okay. So, I want to go back to the start. We see, even when she's a kid, she's this bullheaded brat.
Yeah, bullheaded brat.
This is no longer unbiased. This is completely my opinion.
Yep.
And then we continue that. Even when she gets to places where she needs help, she won't ask for help. Then we see when she calls out Amon to go to the statue of Annie to fight her, and she gets threatened to get her bending taken away, and she's defeated. She's like, "Oh, Tenzin, I'm so scared. Please help me." And then with the next episode, she's back to her bullheaded bratty self.
Okay.
And that's one of the main things that tick me off in any TV show, when there's no character progression, even after the main conflict of the previous episode centers around that character being a stupid idiot.
So you're saying essentially when a character hits a wall in terms of they understand something doesn't work anymore, in Korra's case, being brash and not really thinking out stuff, and then almost failing, and then when they're saved, they're given another opportunity, but not seizing that opportunity. Mm-hmm. Okay. Continue.
And then we see this again when when the arena is taken by Amon.
Okay.
She runs into it. She tries and catches Amon when she knows she can't beat him, no matter what. Like he's gonna stop you. He's gonna stop you. And then when she gets taken by Tarlock, she seems to have some kind of revelation, like, oh, I can't beat this guy. I have to run away. That's good. That's character progression. That's like, oh, I'm going to need help with this. I'm not going to attack him.
So that was the first point of character development for Korra.
That's where I think Korra had developed a bit. Next, we see her and Mako and like the whole gang. They form this plan with the helpful hobo, who probably is the best character in the series. I'm sad we didn't see helpful hobo in season 2.
Yeah.
Maybe he became like some rich guy.
Probably, actually. He went and took over Cabbage Corp.
Yeah. So they form this big plan, and then Korra sees that Tenzin got captured. And then it just snaps again. Just like, oh, sorry. I'm going to go run and attack the guy that I know I can't beat. Again. And in the end, she ends up getting her bending taken away. And somehow defeats Amon with some kind of television lock.
Television lock, yeah.
And then the Aang thing happens where she gets her powers given back. She's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I love you, Mako. Just hug me, kiss me, whatever.
At least a lot of people agree with the relationship stuff here. So she had no repercussions for losing her bending.
There's no repercussions. She's given ample opportunities to be like, I'm not going to do this again. I'm going to progress as a character. I'm going to develop. I'm going to have an arc, a story that makes sense. And this is probably the fault of the show, because even in the arc between seasons, there's no carryover in story. There's just the characters. We see in season 2 that she's just the bratty kid who's abusing her new power. And then when she can't win again, when she's facing the dark spirit, not only does she do it, but every other character runs in and fights the damn thing.
What I want to say quickly is, first of all, a lot of people don't agree with Korra getting her bending back, because that would be a great story, because all season 2 and further on could be Korra rediscovering bending, which also could be a metaphor for reconnecting with yourself and figuring out yourself, traveling around the Avatar world with your friends, things like that. And another thing that points to character not changing, I think, and it'd be interesting to see opinions on this, is when Korra goes into the spirit world and she's instantly transformed into a scared, helpless child. It really goes to show that Korra hasn't changed that much.
No.
But then there's the argument that her overcoming it and becoming Korra again at the end of the spirit world journey shows the development of her spiritually, which would be on the positive side. But AJ, finish with your statement.
Okay. I agree that she has character development. It's just not carried over through the seasons and the episodes. And I'd like to relate this back to Aang in his first season. Now that we've gotten 24 episodes of Korra-ish.
Yep.
So we can relate that to the first 20 episodes of Avatar: The Last Airbender. And we always say we can't really compare, but these are the two main characters. They should have some kind of the same ability to develop, especially since Aang's a tiny little boy. Over the course of the first season of Avatar: The Last Airbender, we see Aang as a scared little boy. He doesn't want to be the Avatar. He's run away. But by the end of it, he's come into his own, and he's accepted it, and he plans on taking out the Fire Lord. He's done all these amazing things that have developed his character through it. He's met these friends. He's helped these people. He stopped
Zhao?
He stopped Zhao. He saved the water tribe.
And another thing that people fail to realize, too, is that Aang was at a severe disadvantage in the 100-Year War, where Korra started or helped, was there right at the beginning of the war.
Mm-hmm. And she, really, if she had approached it correctly, she probably could have diffused the whole thing, but that wouldn't have made for good television, so I don't blame the creators for doing that.
Right.
So it goes along the line like Amon didn't really do that much. He was just a minor character villain. But we see Unalak too. He turns into a giant demon monster and tries to destroy Republic City.
Mm-hmm.
And Aang became a giant blue water monster to stop Zhao and his army, and Korra did the same thing. But that I don't think that really equaled the same amount of character development.
Right.
They did the same thing, but there's no comparing the amount of development Aang had up to that point to the amount of pretty much plateau that Korra had. And my last and final point is after Korra defeated Unalak and Batu with a brash fighting style of punching and kicking, by the way. Nothing changed with her again. She's just an idiot.
She apologized to Mako, but like nothing really changed there.
The character development of this relationship it's finally not working.
You didn't discuss the whole fact that she was far more physically angry. She like kicked Des over. She was verbally abusive to Mako. And there's a huge heated debate whether Mako is a respectful character, and that's kind of irrelevant to this discussion, but she physically just every time Mako said anything, she just outright destroyed him, which might be fair, but if Korra's developed into a lot more calm and spiritually connected character and a more like thorough through the mind, a more cognitive process when dealing with problems, she wouldn't maybe act this way. But Teagan, you're going to explain the positives in terms of what character did to develop.
I just want to one more.
All right.
If Korra from season 1 had fought Vatu at the end of season 2, would it have been any different? That's the main question for character development.
Yeah. Well, I think any story, if she had fought Amon at the end of season 2, if she had found her bending at the end of season 2, would there be more character development? The thing that I think stuns her character development overall is the new stories every single time. The new plots really take away from that valuable time in developing the character, instead trying to push the plot because it's all brand new and you had to introduce a whole bunch of new things. Teagan, explain the positives, please.
Okay, in season 1, we see Korra start to develop as an avatar because obviously she goes to Republic City or Air Temple Island or whatever to learn to like airbend, but she's having a hard time with it, as we see. She can't really, I don't know, because it's sort of a calm, relaxed thing, and she just wants to bust through all the wooden activities. But then through the season, she figures out, she sort of teaches herself, and obviously she kind of is better at that, so that's development. And then in season 2, obviously she does manage to sort of work on the spiritual side of being the Avatar. Even though she does get help from other people, she still is improving at that and getting more experience.
Yeah, and to develop as a character, you need help of others sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And even at the end of season 2, she makes the decision to leave the portals open, which is an informed decision. She obviously thought about it. She just wasn't like, I'm going to leave them open because I'm mad or whatever. Mm-hmm. So that could be considered character development.
Yeah, she developed her spiritual side with... It probably takes some merit to learn how to defeat the dark spirits. One of my big gripes with season 2 is you never saw her being taught anything about defeating the spirits, which would have been really interesting in terms of learning more about the spiritual side of becoming the Avatar. But that's not character development. No. That could be used to aid character development.
Off-screen character development isn't character development.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It's like if you see a character that's a 12-year-old boy that acts one way, and then a long time later they're shown as a completely different character. That's all off screen, but that doesn't mean that they've shown any development in the show, which is the major gripe. So now what we're going to do is we're going to weigh the pros and cons. I'll go first because you two displayed both sides, and I'll just kind of weigh in, and then we'll all just finally wrap it up before I move on. So one of the main things that is for Korra being a more developed character is obviously her spiritual side, like we've just addressed. You need other characters to help in aiding in you to show character or to develop as a character, and maybe that's one of the main reasons why. Maybe it's not necessarily Korra hasn't developed as much as maybe the little parts of development that she does have would be so much more prominent and important if they were shown on the screen. The stuff with Unalak is not shown on the screen. A little bit of her airbending stuff, and that's the fault of season 1 to an extent, like we've said, showing multiple different types of things that happen in Republic City, which hinders from one specific story. But in season 2, when they knew they had time, they didn't necessarily flesh it out as well. And again, they introduced a bunch of different stuff that they kind of half-assed, including the Civil War. If anything, it wasn't a civil war. It was just a conflict. And the Dark Avatar dying in 10 minutes. And I don't really know what people have to say about that necessarily, but if the Dark Avatar is even half as powerful as the normal Avatar, then it would take more than 10 minutes of screen time to destroy them, at least. And we never see any evidence of her putting Vaatu back away. No, so Vaatu is still just chilling somewhere, which is a major gripe. But Korra does develop a little bit, but again, I think she makes a little bit too much of brash decisions. And for people to say that necessarily she developed tenfold, she's a completely different person, is fooling themselves.
I will argue that completely. If you think Korra has become a completely different person, you could probably take the dialogue from the first season and mash it up completely with the audio that she has fought with Vaatu with. Like, it angers me to the point where I can't even stand it. Mm-hmm. That people think that Korra is a different character. Like, she's not.
Okay. Now, how about the fact that that people say, okay, how about her relationship? In terms of character development, her relationship with Mako, breaking that off finally. Do you think that's character development?
It very well could be, but I'm going to hold out with that until we see that it doesn't come back in the third season.
Okay. Teagan, what do you feel? Do you think that Korra developed enough? Do you think she's a completely different person? This isn't about being Team Korra or anti-Korra or Korra bashing. This is really just trying to analyze what Korra did and if she developed enough. And then we're going to get into a little bit, because it's running on here, Tenzin, he developed a lot more as a character in a lot of our opinions, but do you think Korra developed enough between season 1 and 2?
No.
Why not?
Not at all. I don't know. Considering she's like the main character, mm-hmm. like the show's named after her, mm-hmm. It feels like just she acts the exact same in every single episode, even crossing over for the seasons, even though she does have a little bit of character development. Considering she's the focal point, I don't think she has nearly enough as she should.
It's like a brownie with sprinkles. Like, she has, like, every once in a while, every couple bites, there's, like, something there. But as a whole, you're not getting a completely new thing. And when you're talking about characters like Tenzin, again, Tenzin's the same character as he is in season 1, but he has a lot more mixed in with him because he's got the whole fact that he has to... That was a bigger focal point in season 2. Tenzin dealing with his brothers and sisters and how his father treated him and what he wants for his kids more than what Korra did.
I think that they were trying to emulate the Zuko story about my father's honor and how am I going to display my honor to my children.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
Teagan doesn't really know the story of honor, but...
But it's true. I think Tenzin, some people are like, no, Korra developed more. But if you look at it, Tenzin's changed. He's not... I don't think you're going to see Tenzin acting exactly the same way he did in the first 2 seasons. He's going to put more trust in his children, more trust in Korra, that she kind of knows more what she's going to do. he found out who he is.
Yeah, exactly.
He changed who he was. Instead of living up to what his father was, he can now be Tenzin rather than trying to be Aang. And that's more character development overall than what you got with Korra.
He discovered the truth about his siblings and how they were treated. He sort of analyzed his past, and he's becoming better. Eventually, he got into the spirit world, which he could never do.
That's not a dig towards Korra.
No.
That just goes to show that the creators spent more time developing Tenzin than they did developing Korra. And that was nice. And Tenzin's one of my favorite characters from the Korra universe. But you're going to develop the namesake of the show, Korra, I think.
Yeah,
She needs more screen time.
It's not that she needs more screen time, it's that she needs more development.
More effective development in the screen time she has.
You could argue the fact that Iroh didn't develop as a character. He's always been this awesome mentor character. But he didn't need to develop.
Because he's not the main character.
Yeah. But he had enough backstory and development prior to us knowing him to be an awesome character. Mm-hmm. I would argue that Lin has had more character development than Korra.
Okay.
Because even if we don't take her backstory at all, that we don't know, and we've seen her being this comic relief character in Season 2. In Season 1, in the few episodes she appeared in, she hated Korra. She couldn't stand Korra. Then she saw that this girl had potential, so she became friends with her. And then eventually, they ended up fighting together as friends and partners.
I want to see more Korra flashbacks. You see flashbacks of a lot of other characters when they were kids or in different situations with Amon and stuff.
We were given
Tarlok, sorry.
We were given what's it called? Republic City Hustle with Mako and Bolin.
And we were given the Wan flashbacks. What would make Korra develop more is maybe if we've seen her as a baby child, and we've seen her
a baby child,
and we've seen her now as her 18-year-old self, 16-year-old self, whatever.
She's a grown woman.
Her choices are not, or how she is as a character is never really explained. You can make our guesses. Obviously, she was sheltered and stuff like that, but I want to see Korra deal with more stuff as a child, and maybe that would help and aid her be more understood.
Well, I feel a lot of the reason why Korra is underdeveloped is because she was sheltered as a child.
Yeah.
And she didn't have the opportunity to do that. But that still was able to foster this bullheaded, I'm the best at everything attitude.
Right. I'm the best.
I'm the Avatar. Deal
best
with it.
Yeah, like...
Okay.
If you were to raise this child, I would assume her parents were involved with it.
Yeah.
And the Order of the White Lotus, which is an extraordinarily exceptional organization. Not to mention, she's probably got the best teachers. She was raised with Katara.
Mm-hmm. Who's like a pro healer.
Yeah, and she's probably one of the most developed characters in the history of Avatar.
Yeah.
Like, there's got to be some way for her to there's got to be development in her childhood that got her from I'm this rash person to I'm still this rash person. There's got to be a reason why that didn't change. Because she was with these people who were good people.
Yeah.
And she's not a good person.
Yeah.
All right. So we ran on for 40 minutes about that. If you want to chime in and continue to chime in on your feelings on Korra, without just disregarding what we said, try to use some of our points that we've stated and argue them, and we gladly, continue the discussion because it's an important one. It's the main character of the television show that we're all watching and liking. So if you have any opinions to share, I know Eliminator on the forums, he's going to be writing an article or something about Korra.
I will be doing my post-Cast Spinner show on Wednesday, January 22nd at around 5 p.m. So, if I get any responses to this thing before then, I will address them in the post-Cast Spinner show in my best and most humble opinion to explain to you why I think I'm right and you are wrong, or if you agree with me, why we're both right.
All right, so we're going to give you a little bit of a music break in the meantime, and then we'll come back on the other side with some more discussion. Wasn't that some lovely music over the break? It was handpicked by AJ Lewis.
Yeah, I call it the polka rap.
I don't even know what music I'm using. I don't know what music I'm using.
Yeah, you gotta use the polka rap.
You can't. No, you can't use the polka rap.
No, it's not the Pokemon rap. It's polka as in like the
dance.
Yeah, the thing. Silence your phone!
Tyrell!
My phone is silent.
We are in a professional environment here.
Holy crap, the audio levels just went insane when you screamed there.
Oh!
Okay, that's enough. So, after a much heated debate about Korra, we move on
to another heated debate about Korra.
Yay! Yeah.
Okay, so Kebbell posted on January 18th, 2014 an article titled, "Is the lack of filler episodes making The Legend of Korra a better series?" So what Kebbell explains is that one of the concepts... Okay, when The Legend of Korra initially premiered, one of the concepts I was a bit worried about was the lack of filler episodes. So he's talking about how in the first series, so Avatar: The Last Airbender, the amount of filler episodes were one of the better reasons for for Avatar: The Last Airbender. And when you think of filler episodes, what you want to think, as AJ dances away over here, is a filler episode generally takes away from the major plot that's trying to be developed in all the other episodes and explains something that's a side story or stuff that they put there because they don't really necessarily have, if they have 10 episodes, they can't draw the main plot over that 10 episodes. So, for example, some examples of filler episodes in Avatar: The Last Airbender would be things like the subplots with Zuko and Sokka going to the prison.
Anything in the last half of season 5, where Zuko and
season 5.
I'm thinking Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Season 3, when Zuko and Katara go to kill the guy from cover your ears, spoilers.
Okay.
When they go to kill the guy from the Southern Raiders, or when Aang and him did the thing. I can't remember what they did.
But usually the filler episodes appear in the middle of each season because that's when its lowest is. So what Kebbell goes on to say is he thought it was interesting. Filler episodes were successful in Avatar: The Last Airbender, but why did they leave them from The Legend of Korra? From a production standpoint, writers left out filler episodes because Nickelodeon initially approved The Legend of Korra as a mini-series, so they needed to jam-pack as much in as possible.
And I'm okay with that. That is a perfectly okay explanation for why they did that in the first season.
Okay, so despite the valid reasoning, the series was missing a lot of potential due to the absence of filler episodes. Filler episodes can be used to develop the plot. You know what I mean? Sorry, develop the character. Yeah, that's what I meant. The characters, even though there are subplots, they're there as a tool to develop them. The Great Divide is another filler episode.
I was just about to talk about the Great Divide.
Yeah,
I
was about to talk about it.
I was, and that's in the first season, right? The one with the cave bugs.
Yeah. Though Mako, Asami, and Bolin are all wrapped in the Varric subplot, Korra was hard at work at stopping Unalaq, the main villain. That just kind of exemplifies the lack of filler episodes because it doesn't make much sense in terms of
And we don't want to get people confused with subplot and
filler.
filler. A subplot is perfectly okay too. That would be an example. Would be the Varric thing or Zuko's sideline in Avatar: Last Airbender.
Those were used as filler episodes in the series, which made it popular. Every episode almost popular, because where a typical series would put filler episodes where people wouldn't care to tune in, they put more subplots and extra layers, which were considered your filler.
I think if something that Avatar did very well, that is The Last Airbender. No matter what the episode was, there was still always something relating back to the plot.
Yeah.
In a way. Like, there was always the goal. I have to defeat Oza. I have to save the world. But there was the undertones of, like, I have to learn fire or whatever.
Okay, yeah. Well, I was thinking there, because I don't know
Doing some things.
Yeah, because if you think about it, I don't know if Korra's necessarily in the state of using filler episodes yet. Because look at this in this point. The characters and the story isn't developed enough, because guess what? There's going to be a new story next season. There's no carryover, so there's no already pre-established development from previous seasons. They're going to have to set up a new story. And how do they set up a new story? They use episodes to set up a new story. So the character development subplots in these filler episodes can't be there, because they need to set up the plot, or it's going to be a little bit of character development, but the characters are developed, but they're never doing anything.
Well, I could argue the fact that if we went back to the first season, and this is disregarding the fact that it's a miniseries, and if they were to put filler episodes, they could have done one with the Triple Threat Triad to show Mako and Bolin's backstory.
Mm-hmm.
They could have done one with the police department and doing something there to explain stuff with Lynn. They could have done they could have done a lot of a better job introducing Asami through some kind of side plot with future industries. All of these things had potential, and there was more potential in the second season with the Civil War.
Yeah.
If they had done that correctly, that could have been an amazing 2-episode filler episode.
Yeah. So, Teagan, you haven't seen Avatar, all of Avatar: The Last Airbender, but of course you've watched all of Korra. Do you think there's room for filler episodes, or do you think that they would have to play too much catch-up?
I think if they cut out some of the subplots, or even just, I don't know, like, lessen the subplots, there will definitely be the option to have a couple of fillers in there. Like, looking at both season 1 and season 2, they were jam-packed with, like, a bunch of stuff going on, all these different subplots, like, all the characters are in different places and you're bouncing back and forth. But I think if they, like, I don't know, calm down on the subplots, then they can.
Yeah, how about the fact that, so are you trying to say that instead of developing so many subplots, what they would use instead would they use filler episodes developing some of the characters' subplots rather than a bunch of them? And another thing that I think a lot of people might not think about, which could be a great way to do it, is why would you develop just one person's subplot? You should have subplots that revolve around maybe 2 or 3 people. That way you can hit like 3 birds with one stone. Mako and Bolin seem like a natural pairing, which you could also include Asami in. And then Korra could have her stuff with Tenzin and the children on Air Temple Island and that whole thing. Or maybe you have some, like it started to show later, you had stuff with like Ty Lee and like Azula, you had some of the villains and stuff like that. Yeah. Maybe you show more filler episodes with Amon or something like that, or some subplots with that, because though you get the flashbacks with Amon, you don't really know the story about whoever else, like the lieutenant. You have no clue about who the lieutenant is.
If they were to go along the lines of, if they put Amon more in an Azula state where he appeared a little more frequently and did more stuff, like there was the episode The Chase, which she got introduced to the characters in.
Great episode.
That's a really good episode. That's the one where the episode right after when Toph comes in.
Great.
And she appears again later on in that season in another kind of fillerish episode. But it establishes her character as a very powerful character, and she has these two sidekicks that are very well explained because we've seen them before, and we've seen her in Return to Amashu. We've seen all these things.
What's that episode where they're on Azula and Zuko and stuff? They're on, or it might be just Azula. I'm forgetting. It's been a while. Where they're on the summer home of.
That's the beach one. What is it?
That's a great episode.
That's a very good episode, and it has nothing to do with the plot.
It has nothing to do, but it's effective in showing that people like Azula as a character and stuff like that, and the other characters surrounding her. So that's just a kind of a nice way to, show some of the characters' other sides. And one thing I want to say is the fact that Korra doesn't do that. It's not bashing the series or anything, but because they've had to play so much time catching up or trying to. It doesn't really let room for these things to grow. And maybe with kind of creating an arc of a plot that lasts multiple seasons rather than just one. What I think about it is each season of Korra is like a theme park. You want to go and experience a bunch of things really quickly. And then when you're done at night, you go home.
Just for the record, the episode was the beach.
Was it actually just the beach? Okay. Whereas Avatar: The Last Airbender, it was more like a sandbox because it was large. There was many things to do, and there were always new things to discover every day you go back, where the theme park is just all this flash and bang and then you go home. And I think if Korra starts developing that over the next 2 seasons, the last 2 seasons of Korra can be really remembered as seasons where you had great character development, great plot, just awesome everything because you extend them all. Teagan, after seeing these 2 seasons, do you think that Korra can change in terms of seasons 4 and 5 being more arced and then showing more filler episodes and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think they can for sure. I was thinking maybe they made season 2 so similar to season 1 just because they wanted to keep them similar. Like, as soon as they found out that it wasn't just going to be a mini-series, they were like, we should probably keep it similar, so we're not going to have long show arcs. We're just going to have a season arc, limited development, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the gripe because it's such a harsh contrast to Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes.
So if Avatar was, you can say what ifs all day. Maybe if Avatar was like that, then people enjoy it. Maybe if Avatar was like that, it wouldn't be successful. A whole bunch of new things to come to play. But I think you're correct in saying that if they kept the same sort of episodic structure for each thing for the first 2 seasons and then started developing a plot. The only problem with that, and this is gritty from the viewers like us, is maybe it would be wrapped up again too quickly over 2 seasons. Maybe you need 3 or 4. But they're crafty, so we'll see what happens. AJ, do you have any more thoughts on thrillers, fillers?
Yeah, I want to do the thriller dance real quick.
Okay. Oh, you're just in a dancey mood today.
Yeah, I'm just doing the sit-down dance. Anyway, I feel in my heart of hearts.
Your heart of hearts.
Oh boy.
My dark blackened heart.
Oh god.
That hates everything.
Yeah.
Especially in the eyes of the viewers. That Korra could extraordinarily benefit from filler episodes which develop the character. And looking back, I just checked. I just did a fact check on the episode title, "The Beach." And looking at the last season, it's almost all filler episodes. Mm-hmm. But it shows their progression through the Fire Nation, whatever.
And it's remembered as one of the best seasons.
It is the best season of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and it's because it has a shitload of character development.
Yeah.
Every episode, whether you get Avatar and the Fire Lord, one of the best episodes of the series, which is the backstory of Roku and Sozin. Mm-hmm. The Runaway, where we get the backstory of Toph and why she ran away and all of her stuff about her parents. And then you get the mom of Katara, all that, all the figuring in that. Oh, it's just so good, but there's nothing to do with the plot. Mm-hmm. And some people are going to be like, this sucks because there's nothing to do with the plot. Well,
nobody ever said that.
No one has ever said, especially to those few episodes, that they're just boring because they have nothing to do with the plot.
The sword. The one with...
Sokka's Master.
That's one of my favorite. That's like top 5 for me.
That is one of the best episodes, and it's in the 5th season.
Yeah. Or you said the 5th again. You mean the 3rd.
Anyway. I've lost my train of thought. But...
Yeah. We understand what you mean.
Yeah.
The amount of character development and the amount of love that has been poured into the characters in Avatar: The Last Airbender is just not being shown in The Legend of Korra.
You're right. Anybody else have anything to say about the use of filler episodes?
Negatory.
No. Negatory. Okay. So that was a little bit quicker of a segment, but
because we've already talked about character development for an hour.
Yeah. And the use of the filler episode is interesting, and a lot of you left comments on Kevil's article there, and you can go over and check those out. And if you have anything more to say, or you want to re-explain yourself, or you've changed your opinion, you can leave us a comment again. So
again, I will be doing the Post-Cast Spender show on Wednesday, January 22nd at around 5 p.m.
Eastern
Standard Time. Or Eastern Daylight Time, I would assume, probably. Anyway,
it's standard, EST.
Yeah, it'll be 5 p.m.-ish. So send me a response via Twitter, at Castbender or at RelayJLewis. I will respond to the best of my ability and explain to you why you are wrong or right.
Okay, so we're going to give you another little quick music break. Go get yourself a drink, go to the bathroom, freshen up. You'll come back
or just take your iPhone with you to the bathroom.
That's disgusting, AJ.
You're gonna pee on it.
Okay. So we'll see you after the music break with the community response.
Don't be yourself, don't cross the line. Don't forget your words, stand on the line. Always control, not stressing down. Don't ever be just one to count down. Don't you try to change, don't you try to find. You the way it is, you got the money. There is the freedom, not gonna find. Look for a reason, just like the job. Your wish moves through the dust, comes other days, yeah. We may dream survive at last, they say. Don't believe it, don't believe it, don't believe it, don't.
Welcome back from that final music break. We have the little last segment, little smallest, I don't even know what to call it.
It's called...
Community Commentary.
Oh.
No. It's a working title. I don't know. We'll have it ready
How
for
would we
next
call
week.
it the last segment for today?
The last segment is at The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
I like it.
I had no intention of that happening.
Okay, so essentially the rules are I go through 3 forums on the Avatar: The Legend of Korra online forum. I pose the question. AJ and Teagan say deal or no deal. 1 sentence why they agree or disagree. So we're going to start. The first one was started by Link, and he said, what if Nick knew? So if Nick knew that Season 2 of The Legend of Korra was going to be bad, they purposely did not promote it or give it any extra, oomph because they knew it was going to suck. Teagan, deal or no deal?
No deal.
Why?
Because I'm sure Nick was involved in the process long before, they wouldn't just be like, here's the finished season. There you go.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, no deal.
No deal.
We've
Woo!
continuously talked about how Nick most probably has a large influence over how the show is presented. And I never think that a station would think that their show is terrible.
Right.
Or else they wouldn't put it on.
Okay.
Exactly. They would stop spending the money partway through making it.
Okay, I agree. No deal because, like I've been discussing, that Nick doesn't really care if it's good or bad. They are still making money. They are involved in the process. They probably shot themselves in the foot because they were so involved in the process, but they don't care because they have a whole bunch of IPs that are making the money.
Even Korra still makes them a buttload of money.
Yeah, that's SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Okay, next question up for everybody to answer. Profession of the Avatar started by forum member James. You know the
Hello,
economy
James.
is one of the most important factors in the both real and fictional worlds. Does the Avatar need finance in terms of living? And I talked to you guys before the show about this one, but we're going to go around. AJ, deal or no deal? One sentence why?
I'm just going to say no.
No deal.
They don't need...
No deal? Is it say no deal?
No.
Gasp.
I don't think they would need a profession. Just basically what we were talking about prior to recording, that as they are this deity type person, they would just be given stuff.
Yeah.
True. No deal. Because the Pope doesn't need a job, therefore,
Well-
neither does Korra.
Neither does
Well,
the Pope.
the Pope is a job.
Well, the Avatar is
Yeah,
a job
exactly.
too.
But then the Avatar's a job. Like, they have their duty.
No.
They don't have to like, go work.
Duty.
Shut up.
No.
They don't have to work at McDonald's on the weekend. Go, Tyrell.
Okay, no deal because again, if the Avatar honors you by showing up in your town or village, you will give them clothing, shelter, feast, everything you need. If the Avatar did need money, however, I'm sure a wealthy person would give it in return that the Avatar would help them in a time of crisis. That is it. Now, lastly, this really got AJ going or raring to go. We're going to discuss it probably in full length another time, but quickly, started by Avatar Rico, the return of Sozin's comic and Legend of Korra. Sorry, what did I say? Comet and Legend of Korra. We know canon-based, it's not correct in terms of keeping the timeline how it is, but AJ, deal or no deal to ever seeing it?
I believe we could see it again, because it does come around every 100 years.
Yeah, but
And-
there's 29 to go, or something like that, 28.
Well, if we do the math, Aang was, 12
Okay.
when it happened? So, and he died at 75-ish?
Yeah.
So, that's 60 years. Korra's 18, so probably about 20 years?
Yeah.
It's possible.
It's possible.
I would say that'd be an amazing story to see how it
You want to
happened.
see it again? It already happened.
Well, I figure this is just going off of head canon, but the first season was titled Air. It's about the air people. Second season was about water. Next season, it appears to be about the Earth Kingdom. Fourth season, fire? Question mark?
Yeah. Okay, Teagan, deal or no deal?
I don't know what this comet is.
Oh, Sozin's comment. We'll skip to you then.
That's,
I don't know. Please
a
explain.
deal? No deal?
correct
Talking to the
answer
banker.
is deal.
Deal?
I'll say no deal just for the sake of it because I don't want to see it again because though it is cool and a piece of thing that was awesome during the original series, I do not want to
Just even like an Easter egg.
No Easter eggs. I don't like Easter eggs. I don't like Easter. All right, so that's it for the community involvement, and now let me go quickly into the
Don't you
content.
mean community commentary
Comment corner?
last segment?
Community corner.
Community corner?
All right, so I'm going to get into the context. This is an important part of the show for all of you that are interested in us kind of being involved with it. So you can go to our website, castbender.ca, and when you go there, it's fantastic because you have a bunch of resources at your disposal.
Oh, tons.
You can see each episode listed there. You can stream it right there. You can download the MP3, or there is links. AJ's just rattling himself around. There are links to iTunes, Stitcher Radio. There's links to our Twitter, twitter.com/castbender, youtube.com/castbenderpodcast, facebook.com/castbender, and our Tumblr, or castbender.tumblr.com. There's also the video that you can watch the Castbender episode at. So this thing you're listening to, you could be listening to it on YouTube right now or in audio format. And there's also links to all that kind of stuff. Remember, if you want to donate to the show, it takes time and effort and money out of the pockets of the individuals that run it. Thus, if you want to spend a couple dollars and donate, there are options for one-time donations and monthly donations, and there are perks accordingly. the perks can start at anywhere from $2 to $4. So you can go over to castbender.ca/donate.html to find that, or click the donate tab on castbender.ca. Anything else you guys want to say?
Bye.
Bye. So yeah, thank you guys for viewing this episode of Castbender. We'll be back next week with another enthralling episode.
Oh, it's so enthralling.
I bury the emptiness stifling me behind a wall. Virgins of Icar look to the sun downfall. Down. Live in the mirrors of your mind, you don't find your soul. Of your ego, wake up and walk. You run away from your witness when I walk. You hide your pain in the darkness, in the light I walk. Smoking crack, drinking up, driving fast.